We're going to talk about building your course. And I'm going to go back up here to the iTeach class. If you're not in this iTeach class, pretty much all of them that I've put together are going to be the same. But what I want to kind of focus on, at least right here, is some conversations that have been going on. Judy, you might have been part of a conversation yesterday with Paul. Were you one of Paul and Jeff Costco did a session?
No,
okay.
I'm strictly Tuesday, Thursday.
Okay, so let me talk about conversations that are going on across campus. The Higher Learning Commission was here, a few weeks ago. There was a meeting that I was invited to specifically for online distance learning. And one of the first questions that the team asks the group is, how are courses approved to be taught online here at Johnson County? Who approves these classes? Who looks at these classes before they are put online? And it was really quiet in the room. And I had faculty members that were there in this conversation, and to be very honest, we really don't have a good process in place. I mean, somebody says, I want to teach an online course. We say you have to go through iTeach, and that's pretty much it. Okay, and then the HL people were saying, you're not going to lose your accreditation, but it's one of those things you really seriously need to think about is who looks at these courses and how does that process work here at Johnson County? We've been looking at things over the years. Some of you might remember Quality Matters. We did the rubric process years ago. We are currently in the process of looking at something more OSCAR, which is it's a free set of standards. And I think I want you to kind of recognize that these are what most of us are already doing in our classes. As I start to look at this OSCAR rubric, I'll show it to you in a second, a lot of it is already being done. Okay, so I don't want to scare anybody and saying, oh my gosh, the police are going to come and no, it's not really that. It's basically saying, if I'm going to teach an online course, what are some things that I need to make sure that I am addressing? So if I look at this OSCAR review and I go in here and I open it up, it's in the iTeach class. It's basically asking a series of questions. Do I have a welcome or getting started part to my course? Okay, that could be a folder that says, welcome, start here, read first. A lot of us have been doing that. Do you have an orientation, or do you point to an orientation that students can learn more about how to navigate? And I'll show you what we have. So it's not something that you have to recreate, it's something that we already have in existence. So I'm just showing you that these are things that this OSCAR rubric has. So if I am teaching a class, an online class, it's a self-review. You can go out here, you can make your own copy. You can go through the process of saying, well, what are they talking about here? Over on the right-hand side, there is actually a link to what the SUNY, now I don't know if you're familiar with it, but SUNY is the New York School Higher Education System. And so they developed this and they're sharing it with other schools. So if you want to know, what is a welcome message, you can click over here on the right side and it actually takes you out to their site where there is, videos that talk about it. There's actually some ideas down here towards the bottom on, what that talks about. So I'm presenting it to you basically as something to think about as you're designing your course.
So one more time, where do we find it?
Okay, so go into the summer class. Are you in this loose?
I am.
Okay, and then go into the README first area. Okay, so right over here. Oops, I'm sorry, that's a migrated class.
No, was I CFU?
Yep, click right there. And then come down here to where it says OSCAR self-review.
Okay.
Okay. And I think I've got a sign in.
Hey.
There you go. Okay, so I
Just
want.
don't speak Spanish. You don't know what you're saying.
Sí, 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 sí. Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás, amigo? Bien, Ángel, que no quiere que hablemos español.
No, and I don't know Espanol either, so.
I have a granddaughter who's taking it, and it's such a turn off hear somebody else say, what did they say?
So this Oscar, this review process, you might take a few minutes to kind of take a look at that.
But that's worthwhile, I mean, to look at it,
Yes.
to see the ideas that they have.
Now, here's what, in our distance learning advisory group, we've presented it to all the faculty representation, and they're taking it back to their divisions to talk about. And you know, some of these things, you know, you might look at and you go, that's not very, well, for example, down here, one of the issues is a certain size font, okay? Personally, I really don't care about what font, but I think the reason it's in there is that when we start talking about accessibility, you know, specifically working with students that might have screen readers or things like that, you know, a certain type of font, a certain size of font really is much easier for some people that may have visual disabilities. So as I come down here, I try to identify what items in here are from ADA requirements. And that's another thing that we're, you know, in addition to HLC, we're also being asked to look at it from an accessibility perspective. So as you start to design your course, I know you got to think about it. If any of you are using videos, are any of you using videos at all? What should be included with those videos? I'm asking questions.
What's it called?
Captioning.
Mhm.
So,
Well, or a transcript of it.
or transcript. When I talk to Access Services on campus, you know, their preference is to have a caption attached because that is being presented as you actually see the video that's going on. Yeah, you can have a transcript, but it's kind of more difficult to follow what's being said as opposed to a caption is actually presenting that as it's being presented on the screen.
So those captions can be done in 2 languages. If we talk to them, for example, I want my students to listen to my Spanish pronunciation
Okay.
while they're reading. And maybe they want to know what I'm saying.
Sure. Good question. Right now, English is what we're doing that with, but I would like to kind of do some research on that to say, okay, can I run a video like in YouTube? Can I run it through a different kind of, process? Good question. I don't know the answer to that.
That's good to know, because we need to figure it out.
Sure. What I do know, Luz, going back to your question about different languages, I just found this out last week when I go into the settings of a course down here at the bottom, and I click over here under details. There is somewhere out here.
Language.
Where's that at? Right there. Okay. Now, what does this mean? I don't know. Okay. What I think it means is that any of the, what would you say, menu options
Okay.
or any of the instructions that Canvas brings with it would be converted into a different language. Now, if you type something in a page in English, it's not going to convert it over to English.
Right.
But it would come up with what is the equivalent word for files in
I
Spanish.
guess that's when somebody from another country, right, want to use these LMS.
Sure, and we could do it even at the user level can do it too. So if you have a student, for example, I'm jumping around, I understand, but these are good questions. If I go to account settings, and I say edit settings, let's say that I have a student who, you know, English is their second language. They could go into the base level of their account and say, you know, I want all of my courses to be sort of on the menu. Now, that's the key. It's not the content. The
No,
content
it's
is
not.
not going to be converted over, but the menu, the navigation process would be converted over. Okay, so that would be under the account settings option that you could change that.
Count settings, where is? Okay,
Account settings.
and you just click on it.
And then you gotta go into, I think, change the settings. There's an edit button.
Okay, now let's see.
Okay, so go ahead and
Oh,
go.
sure, sorry, yeah. You know, I did this and I wanted to change one of these and you can't change it. I couldn't figure out how to do it.
Okay. Well, sometimes you might have to say edit settings and then click on. So you see right now, I can change the language right now.
But I can't change, like it was talking about a display name. I usually use Judy,
Okay,
so I don't know how to.
sure. Well, just send me an email and I will change that in the
Okay,
system.
thank you.
The reason we don't do that is that if we let your students change their name, it would be ultra chaos.
This is true. True, okay, yeah, I will.
All right, so let me go back over here. So good questions. I don't know about the captioning in different languages, but I can do some research and see what we might be able to find. All right, so let's go back to the class that we're working in. Today we're going to talk about building your course. So as you're building your course, obviously think about accessibility. Think about, you know, who my audience is. Just because maybe you do not have a deaf or student in your class today, doesn't mean that you maybe shouldn't be planning for it. And so, you know, I want you to be aware of that. Another tool that we just added in the last month or two is a little icon over here on the side. I'm just going to kind of hover above it. It's called UDoIT, and it's a universal design tool. What it will do is analyze your course for any accessibility. So let's say that you have migrated your course. How many of you have requested migrations and started to take a look at those? Okay, so once you bring those migrated courses over, you're going to see down here in the navigation something called UDoIT. When I click on this, it's going to go out and do an inventory of my course, and it's going to basically look at any items that might raise some flags on accessibility. So I'm waiting for it to get started, and it's basically going to look at all these different tools. So I'm going to say scan this course, and I'm doing this because as you're building things, now's the time to start thinking about what's there. Okay. Now, if your UDoIT's not showing up, you may have to go into the menu on the settings and see if that's showing up there, or come talk to me and I'll do that. Okay, so I'm waiting for this to process, and then I'm going to show you a couple different things here in a second. The other thing is that you can come to the EdTech Center. You know, anytime you have questions, I don't care what the question might be, you can come to us and say, Ed, how do I do this? Or why is this not working? Or can you look at this course and see if there's any, you know, things that I need to be aware of? Okay, that's what we do. Now, if you ask for our opinion, we will give you our opinion, and you can do what you want to with that. You can go away, well, they weren't very helpful. But I mean, if you ask us, we will give you, you know, some feedback, and a lot of times that's going to be based upon some of the different, you know, standards that we have. So right now, as I do the UDoIT, it's coming up with, there is an error in this first assignment. So if I open it up and I look, it's basically saying you are using a video, and that particular video needs to include captioning. All right? I already have it captioned, so I'm not going to worry about it. But these are the kinds of things that it will flag. And saying, you got this. Or maybe there is a special kind of font that maybe is not working right. Okay, so once again, I'm just showing you that there are tools that we have that maybe you want to take an inventory of. Come and talk to us, and we will discuss maybe what it is that we can work on. A lot of these things that I have in my course are simply existing videos that I have, that it's just reminding me that I have to make sure that those are captioned. Okay, with me on that so far. Okay, now let's talk real quickly about what am I going to do with a migrated course? I think I talked about that a little bit on Tuesday, but let me go out and I'm going to find a migrated course and I'm going to look and see what's going on. So right here is a course that I migrated over. You're going to see that anything that was in folders in D2L in the content tab, those folders are going to come over. So if you had a read me first, if you had a week 1, if you had a chapter 1, those folders will come over. And in Canvas, we call these folders modules. So there will be modules. If inside of those content folders in D2L, you might have had a discussion, you might have had a quiz, you might have had a Dropbox, all of those things will be inside of the modules. What's going to get stripped out is going to be maybe some text that might have some instructions that talk about this is how you should do that. Let me just open up something here and I'll talk about it. So if I go over here to so let's come in here to a class I think that is right. Okay, grab this one. So I go to content. Okay, so when I do the table of contents, notice in D2L I had a folder called Read Me First. So as I look at that Read Me First, see how I have instructions, that are here in D2L. These were part of how you could design your content. If I look at that same information over here in, Canvas, I do not have those instructions in here. They are basically just showing me a link to something. Maybe it's a quiz, maybe it's a discussion. So if that's important to you, we need to kind of talk about, maybe I need to put a page out here, okay, or something to work with that. What I'm going to recommend that you do, we still have another month and a half before D2L permanently goes away. You might consider doing what I've done is actually have D2L open, Canvas open. Toggle back and forth between those two, looking at your course. What am I losing? What am I gaining? What does this look like? Okay. So that's what I want you to think about if you are migrating a course. All right.
Did you say that it will reformat the font to be?
It'll go to a 12-point font typically.
But none of the bold and all that sort of stuff.
Well, the bold will come in, I'm pretty sure. If I look
I
at
think it does.
it does.
But I guess I'm curious as to what can we lose.
Well, I think what you're going to lose is going to be the additional details that I'm looking for right here. So if I'm looking at, getting started and with some instructions in there, like right over here, I have all this stuff right here that's showing up in D2L. This is going away, as is this right here. It may be there, but it may be inside of the tool itself, where D2L would allow us to kind of read along with what's going on. The other thing that we're losing with moving from D2L to Canvas is a table of contents. Okay, over here on the left-hand side, notice how you have a table of contents in D2L. I can click on these different items and it lets me jump around. In Canvas, if I come over here and I see, getting started and I click on one of these items, that whole structure goes away. I no longer have a table of content. I have to kind of maybe go back a step until I'm back in the modules area. Okay, so I think the first thing is migrate your courses. Start taking a look at what came over. I think most everything will be coming over. Is it going to look differently? Yeah, there's a pretty good chance it's going to look a little bit different. Start taking an inventory of quizzes. Okay, look and see, did my quizzes come over? Did all my questions come over? Is it there? Did all of my PDFs, my Word documents, my PowerPoint documents, did all of them come over? Okay, you can come in here to the files option in Canvas, and you can actually see everything that's back behind the scenes. So I click on files, and right now I'm looking at everything file-wise that was brought over from D2L. The PowerPoints, the PDFs, the Word documents, all that stuff is going to show up here. And to be honest, I had some people yesterday taking a look and they said, oh my gosh. I said, what? They go, I still have stuff that was from Angel out there. Because I know what we did. You took stuff from Angel and you migrated it into D2L, and then you just kept moving it from semester to semester to semester. So you might decide to clean house out here. You know, go out here, and if you see something that you no longer need, there's a little dot, dot, dot over here on the right-hand side. You can decide whether you want to, you know, dot, 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 delete that or rename it, okay? So taking inventory, see what's there, see what you want to continue to use. Now, I've talked about this before, but let me go back and review it again. I'm asking you to migrate your courses, right? So we've got D2L, and you're going to migrate. Okay, do all of you know how to migrate courses? Have you done that? Okay, you don't have one yet to migrate, okay? But have you all requested a migration, right? Okay, so this is where, you know, everything that we have from D2L that we could bring over is there. Go out and look at it. We still have time. Some of you might say, Ed, where did that go to? I'm missing something. Where is it?
What is it?
Okay, where did it go? Okay, I can still, or we can still go back here to D2L, look at D2L, try to figure out what's missing. But guess what happens the end of June? Okay, that goes away. So I want you to make sure you kind of look at these classes, see what's there. The other thing that I'm going to recommend that you do is leave this alone, this migrated class, just kind of leave it alone, and maybe consider taking your content from the migrated class maybe into a source course. Or if you really want to, just go ahead and take it on down into a production course. Then start cleaning it up here. Why? Because some of you might start looking at this stuff and going, I don't need that, I don't need that, I don't need that, I don't need that. Uh-oh. I just deleted something that I really, well, you know, it was kind of, you know, blah, 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 like that. And you come to me and you go, Ed, I accidentally deleted something. Okay? Now, I can get back here after the 1st of July. I have backups there, but it's not going to be something I'm going to do in a few minutes. It may take a few days. So I really want you to think about, do an inventory of your migrated course, okay? Copy it somewhere, whether it's in a source course or somewhere, and then start to clean it up there. That way, if you accidentally deleted something, you can always go back and go from your migrated course to work with that. Does that make sense, what I'm talking about?
So you're going to teach us later how to copy and migrate to the source.
I'll do that
So it
yet
will
today.
become-
Yep, I'll do that yet today, okay? But I kind of want you to get thinking about that process.
So yeah, so we don't want to work with the one that says migrated. We want to leave that one by itself.
That's my recommendation. No, unless it's very simple, unless you just have a few files in there, okay, I don't care. Because some people have told me, Ed, all I have is a grade book. Okay, fine, that's fine. But if you have a lot of stuff and you could risk losing some of that stuff, I'm going to recommend that you copy that to another space. All right? Why don't I do that right now? I'll just talk about that. I'm going to go out and I'm going to go to my dashboard, and let's say in this case here, I know I have an empty class, okay? There's this class out here that I'll be teaching, let's say next semester. I can kind of tell it's an empty class because I haven't done anything to change the card graphic on there. If I click on this class here in a second, it's probably going to have some graphics that looks like this. When I see this kind of graphic, that's a pretty good indication that it's empty, that there's nothing in there, okay? So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna come down to my settings option. Settings option is very similar to the edit course option in Canvas, remember, or D2L. Remember in D2L, you go over and you say edit course, and you get all these different options. Settings is going to be the same option. So I'm gonna say settings. And then I see an option onto the far right that says import course content. That's going to be the second step. Third step is to say what content type. I'm copying a Canvas course. In other words, I'm going to copy content from one Canvas course into another Canvas course. So I'm going to choose the top one. What are other things? Well, other options might be, maybe I get something from a publisher that is in a Blackboard. Years ago, they would come out and they'd say, here is your publisher material. And then they would always tell me it's always for Blackboard. Gosh, or WebCT. In 99% of the cases here on Canvas, you're going to say copy a Canvas course. So after I choose that, then it's going to say find the class. If I click on this, you're going to see that it's going to organize them based upon terms. So here is a term for stat development. Some of you might see on your course list fall of 2017, spring of 2018, summer of 2018. So you're going to see different terms. I am looking here at a term called migrated because when you request a course to be migrated, we put it into a special category called migrated. We also have a special category called source courses. So you would need to decide, okay, what am I going to pull from? I'm going to go out here and I'm going to pull in this class called migrated D2L class. So I'm going to grab a hold of that. And I'm going to say all content. If I want everything, which is kind of really what I want to do, because I'm just going to bring everything over here and then I'm going to start cleaning things out. Now, what if I get to a point where I don't want everything? Maybe I just want a quiz. You two are working together and you know that Sam's got this fantastic quiz that you really, really, really want. You don't want everything else. All you want is that one quiz that he has. You could go in, if Sam gives you access to his course, and then you could say a specific content item, select the content, and then come down here and say, all I want is this one very special quiz or something like that. So you have the ability to take everything, or you have the ability to select only individual items that you want. Does that make sense? Okay. So
I could actually take something from her through this system.
if she gives you permission, Luz would basically have to add you into her course. Now I am going to talk about something, I think I talked about it last week, called Commons. In that Commons is the ability to share. And so I want to kind of put that up on the board and make sure we talk about that. Because, Luz maybe says, I've got this course out here that I'm willing to share with my department. I'm not going to put you in my course, but I'm willing to share my course. So if there are other faculty that want to take this course or anything inside of it, go for it. Okay? That makes sense? Sometimes the dilemma we have with adding other people into courses is that if it's a production course, the students go, well, who is the teacher out here? Who's really in charge of that? So we get we kind of want to avoid that confusion. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and let's just say I select the content. I'm just going to do all of it. Okay, so we're going to run this process. It's going to run and hopefully, go ahead.
So please, one more time. So you are in courses. I select my course and then settings.
I first of all go to settings.
Settings to import content.
Import contact, select Canvas, okay? And then you're going to, did it get managed?
No internet connection, yeah.
Same thing happened to me when I was working on that computer.
Do we need to move you to a different machine maybe?
Yeah, there must be something here, but.
Well, it could also be this right
Okay.
What's working from?
Yeah, I had that same, I was on that computer yesterday or Tuesday.
There is no-
Now, here's the other thing I want you to kind of look at is that when I copied this course over, it's telling me there are 4 issues. What are those issues? I don't know. Well, let's click on this and see what those 4 issues are. So the first thing it's saying is there are some missing links. So if I click on this, I think there's probably a pretty good chance that the only link I have on this page right down here is pointing to the wrong location. So I would need to go in here and I would need to edit that page. So that's something that during the copy process, look for those errors. See if there are any errors coming across.
If there isn't anything, because Jeff did it for me,
Sure.
right back, then I'm okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, as far as the links are concerned, I mean, you still may have to go out there and look at your quizzes and decide, all right, is everything working with my quizzes? Are the discussions presenting themselves properly? You know, all that. So, yeah, do that. Now, I'm going to show you one more thing on the settings. Is that, let's say you do an import and you look at this and you go, yuck. Okay, that was the wrong course. I grabbed it from the wrong semester. Okay, you never do that, right? Okay.
Of course no. If I do, I have it.
I know, that's what you do, you call me. So one of the things that Canvas has is something called Reset Course.
Okay.
This was kind of hard for me to do this because you can delete everything. So when I say reset the course button under settings, it says this action is irreversible and cannot be recovered. Are you sure you wish to continue? And then this big red button up here says reset. Basically, I'm deleting everything in this course.
But that's when you say, no, this is not the course I want everything to be gone.
Yep. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
Okay,
exactly
so
the
that's
way,
the reset.
okay? So for many of you that might say, oh, I used to always have to call Ed, you now have the ability to reset that course, all right? Which I'm fine with, as long as you know what you're doing. The other thing I want you to think about is I would not do this in the middle of a semester, okay? There should be really text up here that says, if you do it in the middle of the semester, all the scores, all the grades, all the student submissions have just went bye-bye. So, you know, if you do it at the beginning, before everything is started,
Right.
you're fine. But don't do it in the middle of a semester. That's probably a bad thing. All right. Also, while I'm here under settings, you'll see the ability for me to upload an image. And this goes to the cards. Remember the cards on the dashboard that we have? Some of them are just plain colors. Some of them you might start to see have images. This is where you can upload an image. If images are not your thing, come up here to the EdTech Center and say, Bob, I need help. Or someone on our staff, you know, maybe you tell them, oh, I want something that has test tubes. I want something that has books. I want to have something that has a certain, you know, appeal for the discipline that I'm teaching, and Bob can help you with that.
I went out and looked at the comments, and I found one that has an open laptop, and in between it is an open book.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best one, but
Okay.
I just copied it, pasted it, done.
Yes.
Okay, so when I did that, I was able to insert an image, but it has a filter of the color
Okay.
in front of it, and I didn't see that yours has that or yours has
It's a
that.
choice.
So
So
how
if
would
I
I?
come up here to, I'm going to close this. Under dot, dot, dot.
Okay, color overlay. All right.
And then that goes away.
Very nice.
All right. The other thing down here, as we continue traveling, is start and end dates and times. On production courses for semesters, Banner, you all know what Banner is, right? Banner is going to say, what is the official start date? What is the official end date? If you want to let students in early, you can go in here and change that. We are going to add 2 weeks onto the end dates of classes. So, at the end of a semester, a lot of times you want to let students go out there and argue with you, so that they can challenge you on your grades that you've given them. We will go ahead and add automatically 2 weeks. If you don't like that, you want to add or lessen that time. As instructors, you have the ability to make those adjustments. When you request a migrated course or a source course, there are no dates in there. So those courses will stay open all the time. We're not going to turn them off or anything like that. They will just not have any dates attached. But classes that are being pushed from Banner will have start dates and end dates for you to go in there and work with. All right. Okay, so having talked about migrated courses, let me go over here and look at a blank course. So I'm going to reset this. And we're just going to take a look at what happens with a brand new course that I've never used before. Okay, the first thing is it's empty. So as I click on tools over here, there is nothing in here. And so it's empty. So if I were starting from scratch on a course, what should Ed do? Right? If you were to start from scratch, what would you do?
Create a new module home,
Okay,
read my home.
okay. So when you say module, that's like the folders, correct? So I come over here to my modules tool, and I say create a brand new module, and you're going to call it home, right? Maybe like read me first. Okay, very good. So I've created this module. How do the rest of you, as you progress forward, do you do things like lesson 1, week 1, chapter 1? Is there anything that you use to organize it in that way? Luz, how do you do that?
I do it by week.
Okay.
Week 1 through 16.
So I could come out here and say week 1. And then I could also say add another module, week 2. Now, as I'm doing this, you're going to see that these modules have the ability to be locked. Okay? So what I could do is to say, okay, you students, you will see that there is a week 2, but I will not let you into this until a certain date. That's what the lock process does. It lets them see it, but it does not let them go into it. So do you see that under the modules? And when you migrate modules, you can do the same thing. You can come over here to the module heading, and there's going to be a ... on the right side that you can go in and you can say lock or settings, and you can actually work on that. In addition to locking, you can also do prerequisites. Okay? So some of you over the years have told me, Ed, they don't read the syllabus. Okay? I want them to read the syllabus. So some of the faculty have actually created a syllabus quiz. And that quiz, they have to get a certain score before they can move forward. So if there was a syllabus quiz in here, I could say that is the prerequisite. Now, obviously there's nothing in here right now. But if there was a syllabus quiz, I can say that they have to take this syllabus quiz with a certain score on it before you can go on to the next section. Now, you might say, that's nice, Ed, I don't care. There are buttons out here, so I have to talk about all of these buttons so at least you understand what they're capable of doing. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and say, let's see, add the module.
I have one question.
Yep.
On that blank screen, it also has add existing content. Is that where you could pull over just one module from D2L into there?
Mm-hmm. Well, or a, what, back here on this home button, is that what you were looking at earlier?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Yeah, you could pull in content from like PDF files and stuff like that, but you probably would do that as files as opposed to D2L. You're going to have to export it out to do that.
Okay, so if I say I like my getting started is the first module.
Mm-hmm.
So I could just go back to to where I want to migrate from and figure out how to get it over.
Well,
to
okay,
another
so
module.
let's just say I'm right here. I'm in D2L. Okay, I've clicked over here. I could come over here to edit course, and I could probably go over here to files, wherever that's at. I know it's here somewhere, manage files. And I could say I've got something out here that I want to take out. So come on, D2L. And I could say, whoops, maybe this is a PDF file. I could say download that file, and then I could upload that. If I wanted to do them individually. If I didn't, I would do a migration. That's what I would do.
My course is all migrated into Canvas.
Mm-hmm.
But now some things I want to change, move around. So, but the first beginning one I looked at, and it pretty much does what I needed to do. So I'm in Canvas. How do I go from Canvas to Canvas for just that one module?
Okay, so you're going from one course to the other, or the
Yeah,
one?
the migrated course into the work I'm working with, not the production one, but
Oh, like a source course.
yeah, the source course.
Okay. What you would do is go back to what we were talking about earlier, going into this settings down here, and you would say Canvas, and then you would say a specific content right here. And then you would go in and select that module. That's what you would do from your migrated course into your source course.
Okay. Okay, I'll try it. And
Okay. Let me see if I can.
does it make a copy?
Yes, it will make a copy. It
So
will
it's
leave
not
the,
really-
no,
it's
it's
still
leaving the
sitting there.
old one alone. Yep.
Okay, good, thank you.
Okay, so modules, we've started to make structure out here, so that's good, all right? There still is not anything out here. So a couple things I could do is I could go over here to my files and I could upload files. I could also come over here to where it says plus next to the, let's say, getting started or home. And it's saying, I want to add. And what I want you to think about is, what do you want to add? If I already have assignments in Canvas or quizzes or content pages or discussions, I could go ahead and say, go over and grab these existing items and add them into this module. Okay? Or I could say file. Is there a file somewhere that I want to grab? Maybe it's a PowerPoint file. Maybe it's a PDF file. Maybe it is a Word document. I could do that. I could add in an external URL. So maybe it's something that I want to point to that's out, in the big web, and pull that in. You really kind of have to start thinking about, I can give it some structure like my modules, but then I kind of need to take a time out and say, okay, now I need stuff to put into these folders. How do I get that stuff in there? Is it part of a migration process, like Judy's talking about, that I go over to my migrated course and I pull in only certain files that I have already been using in this migrated course? Do I have a jump drive that I have all my PDF files, or I have all of my Word documents or whatever like that? Do I bring that over? Okay. You with me so far what I'm talking about? Now, some of you might say, Ed, I've got this started and it's my opportunity to start from scratch. I'm going to go over here right at this point, and I'm going to start creating maybe some discussions. Now, it may mean that you don't have all the details, but you know that you're going to have a discussion called welcome. Okay, so I'm going to have a welcome. Whoops, if I come up here. I'm going to have a welcome to the course discussion. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just save this. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say I'm needing to have some quizzes. I'm going to create a new quiz and I'm going to call this quiz chapter 1 quiz. All I'm really doing here is just creating a placeholder. Okay, and I'm going to also put in here a Dropbox. So this is going to be an assignment. That's going to be, let's say, an online that's going to upload files. I'm going to call this essay 1. I'm going to put 10 points attached to it. Okay, and then I'm also going to save this. All I'm really doing at this point is I'm creating placeholders. So now when I go back over here to my modules, I can come in here to where it says plus and see now how I have this assignment called Essay 1. I'm going to add that in there. I can also come up here and say I'm going to also add in a discussion. Welcome to this course. Ooh, I'm also going to go up here and I'm going to add in a quiz. Quiz chapter 1. Okay. I did this very quickly because I wanted to show you how as you build things or you look at what is in your inventory here, you can then add those into your modules.
Can you reorder them?
Absolutely. See these little things on the side? If I wanted to, I could say, well, let's put this essay down here under week 2 or week 1. Or I want to put chapter 1 up here at the top. Or no, I don't want to do that. I can rearrange them.
Okay, so just to be clear, so right now you have 3 modules, right?
Correct. I have home, week 1, week 2.
Okay.
And I have 3 items that I've put somewhere. Now, keep in mind that, for example, maybe in week up here at the very beginning, I tell my students, you're going to have this essay that you're going to need to work on. I tell them that. I could also go down in here on week 3 and say, remember that essay, okay? It's the same essay, but it may be something that I can simply remind these students that, I told you about this at the very beginning of the class. I'm just reminding you again on down the line. It's not 2 separate items. It's the same item just appearing in multiple places.
Okay, how did you do it?
I went in and I said plus over here, and then I said find what is already there. So I'll do it here. I'll say plus, and I said assignment because I knew that this was a item that I created. It could also have been a quiz. I can say chapter 1 quiz. These are all the same items. Chapter 1 quiz up here is the same chapter 1 quiz that's down here. Essay 1 is the same essay that's down here. Okay, they're just, that's like a road sign pointing to where these things can be found. Okay, that's the way modules will work. The other thing about modules is that they want to be very linear. Okay, I see this first page that says, or something that says, welcome to this course. As I click on these things, I'm going to see down at the bottom something that probably says next. See that? Then when I click on next, it's going to say I'm showing you the chapter 1 quiz. I can either go next or previous. That's sort of the way the module tool works. There is no table of contents over here. See, I'm sitting there trying to find it. I'd have to click on modules again in order for me to see this whole thing. Module works very well if you want to say next, next, next. Okay? Now, besides the module approach, there is another approach that you could use to help with the navigation in a class. And that approach is going to be using a tool called Pages. So let me show that to you. If I go out here and I say Pages, create a brand new page. This page is going to be called Welcome to my course. And I can just say hello, welcome. Da, 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 da. And then I could say your first assignment is to introduce yourself. Okay, I'm going to come over here to the right and I see that I have a discussion called Welcome to the Course. So when I click on that, what I'm actually doing here is I'm starting to build a page that has links into it. So I'm going to say your first assignment is to introduce yourself, using the Welcome to the Course. I'm just going to space discussion. After that, you will take the chapter 1 quiz. Space, quizzes, chapter 1 quiz. Okay. What I'm doing here is I'm building some of the things that you might have saw in the modules, but I'm adding text in here. Modules doesn't do a really good job of explaining, okay? I like using words like read and watch and complete or take. Modules, you see the icons. Quiz 1, you see the icon. Discussion, you see the icon, Dropbox, but you don't always see, what it is that you want them to do. So I'm throwing this out at you because some of your colleagues have said, Ed, I need something that has a little more set of instructions with it. The other thing that some of the faculty have said is, where did my widgets go? Okay, I used widgets in D2L. Where did the widgets go? You do not have widgets in Canvas. But what I could do is to create a page, and I could go out here and I could add, I don't think I have any images, but I could say search for an image. Let's just say books. Okay, so now what I have is I've basically brought in an image that I can add a little bit of some pizzazz to my course with that.
What I see is that looks like on this migrated, when it transferred, it just created a page. So that was a widget and it came as a page.
Or it was a page in a widget maybe already.
You mean D12?
Correct.
Right.
Okay. So you're getting some stuff already with that.
Okay.
So you could, that's a great page. It's got lots of good stuff in here. Now what I don't know is where this, is that just underlined and bolded text or is that actually?
It was a title.
Okay.
Classified.
Okay. So yeah, you've got some of that stuff already.
Okay.
And
So
it's
I
a
can find
page.
them in pages.
So if I say view all pages, looks like you've got a lot of good pages out there already. Okay, so I'm just letting you know, you might take inventory of your pages too, to see what pages were migrated over.
Okay.
All right? Okay, you with me so far on what we're talking about?
The only thing I have trouble with, I just was playing with it, but I didn't erase it, is, I just put some text in, and I was just testing what things did, and when it said background color, and I hit that, nothing happened.
Okay. Well, let's see if there's, which one did you choose on, background color?
I just had, I assumed it was maybe the page. That's why.
I don't know. Let me see if I come down here and I say,
Actually,
Save.
what happened was I typed it, and it did put the background color in, but along the words. In
okay,
other words, it was just whatever was there. I said, hello all. And
Okay.
That's what turned it. When I think of background, I think of
sure,
the document.
sure. Let's say edit. Yeah, let's go into here. Then I'll say edit. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me talk a little bit about, while I'm here, about something called the HTML editor. In D2L, we had an editor that looked very similar to this. You're going to see this HTML editor showing up everywhere. If you create an announcement, it's going to be there. If you create a page, it's going to be there. If you create a quiz question, it's going to be there. If you work in your discussions, it's going to be here. So let me spend a few minutes talking about this HTML editor. First of all, the first few, go ahead.
Sorry, mine doesn't have, oh, no, it does. Okay, so I'm sorry. Never mind. It doesn't-
Was it taking a few seconds to pull up there?
I just didn't see pages there before. but
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So I think you're pretty comfortable with what does bolding do, what does italicize, underlining, font, colors, left justified, center, right, indentations. Okay, these are all pretty much standard. As I start to look at the second row, this is where it's a little different, tables. Some of you might say, gosh, I would like to organize my page using tables. So you could say, well, let's do like 2 across and 2 down. I'm going to put my cursor in one of these, and then I'm going to add an image. Whoops. Search for an image, let's call it. So I'm going to put a panda in there as if I really know what I'm doing. And then in this one here, I'm going to put a cat. And notice as I put these images in, I can actually change the sizes of them. I can also change whether they are center justified or whatever I want to do. I can also put text. This is a panda. Okay. So I'm kind of just letting you know that I can start to use these tools as well to organize. Embed images. So if I come up here and I click on this, I can put in a URL for a video. I can also say embed. So many of you have used like YouTube before, that you can go out here and say YouTube. Let's look for, let's see, let's go out there first. Back. All right, here's a boring video that I have. So I could come down here to YouTube and I could say share embed code. So here is my embed code that I have. And I'm going to take that code and I'm going to paste it. And so I'm using this little icon up here to bring videos in. Do any of you use YouTube stuff at all? Okay. I like using YouTube. You know, obviously I have it captioned here, so I have that done. So that's one over here. I'm going to shift gears a little bit and look at this one. We just added this one yesterday, okay? This is one that Judy probably can relate to.
Good job.
We-
I was surprised when I saw it.
We,
Library product.
we have a huge database of different videos down in the library and films on demand. Judy, you want to take a second and talk about what they can
Yeah,
find
we
out
have
here?
A lot of things, documentaries, you just get in there and start playing around and put something in, find things that get that word.
Different from Canopy?
Canopy is streaming. Now, is that gonna work differently?
We will probably have to authenticate into that a little differently.
Yeah. It's quite a product. It looks like a Hollywood compared to the film on demand. It looks like.
I mean, I just typed in the word Spanish, and there might be things that might be more culture-wise, what is the history, the Civil War, So if you wanted to do something that might be more documentary, culture, that kind of stuff, you could take, I'm just going to grab this one here and say embed. What size do we want it to be? And now I have this video out here that's now inside of a page. And so, to my knowledge, I think many of these are captioned. Is that right, Judy? I think they are. We'll find out. We'll do it right now.
Más claras en la obra de Delibes, sobre todo en las últimas etapas de la obra de Delibes. En la última yo creo que incluso hay una preocupación, el peso de la guerra civil española.
Well, let me try something. Let me save this page first. Then let's play it.
Más claras en la obra de Delibes, sobre todo en las últimas etapas de la obra de Delibes. En la última yo creo que
So, I mean, I'm stopping that, but, you all might take a look. Go ahead,
Usually it
Judy.
has a CC.
It should have a CC, but I don't see it. Maybe it was part of the embed process that I should have taken a look at.
Oh, it's great.
I lost that pages.
Okay.
One thing I know a lot of people don't know that when you go to the library and you go into the catalog area, it's browse tab. Spaces and choose video resources. We have 60 minutes from 1997, 2014.
Wow.
And really ought to explore sometime. We have cool stuff, but this Canopy streaming video is something else.
Yeah, I'm
You
familiar
ready
with
to
the
look at it?
Canopy.
You can see, yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm familiar.
Okay, Sam, I'm sorry.
There's not image in it.
Yeah, I just can't find these.
Which is,
It's hidden.
At the very top, and I just took it.
well, we should say then,
Okay, and right here.
it's not, it's done.
Where's your part? Oh, but, oh, you didn't go with the exchange?
Art, art history, art.
Okay.
Oh, okay, no, I went with the trip with them.
So
Okay.
that was a good little detour. I kind of wanted to let you know that we just added this in here yesterday.
Okay.
And I
yeah.
think it's something that's worth exploring
It is.
because, these are taking resources that the library has, embedding those into, I mean, YouTube is a great resource, but these are more, reviewed kinds of resources that you might want to take a look at. You also have the ability to put in links. So if you wanted to put in maybe web addresses, images, those can be put in. If any of you teach with equations, I don't know if there's any math or science teachers in here, you can use this. There's also the ability to embed other kinds of video that maybe you would develop on the fly. So right here I can say, insert maybe a recording off of my computer. It doesn't like me right now, and the reason why it's not liking me is that I'm using Zoom to record this session with my camera. But if I was not recording this session, it would let me use maybe a web camera that I might have hooked up. So I could sit here and go, hi, I'm Dr. Lovett. Welcome to my course. And I could go ahead and actually record something using my web camera. I could also upload media. So maybe I had already did something like on these devices. You all know what these things are, right? Okay. Years ago, when my kids were little, I used to have the little recording cameras, and like every proud parent, I'd be sitting there in the auditorium recording these things with these big cameras. I can do everything on this today. I can record a video with this phone and upload it to Google and actually bring it in here too. So, these are the things that are changing the way we do things today. Like, I'm going to pick on YouTube right now. A lot of times I hear about foreign language, how do I know that that's that person on the other end? Well, maybe part of that is they can record themselves doing something, or maybe record themselves answering questions in a different language. I could do it using this thing right here, and then I could upload that file into the LMS if that's what I want to do. So things are really changing, especially with these kinds of devices, because I can record things, I can take pictures of things, and then bring those into the LMS if I want to do that.
Like looking at little spots. Too small.
Okay, another thing that we have over here is check accessibility. Now this is not the you do it option. This is actually built into Canvas. So if I say check accessibility, it's going to go out and it's probably going to get some feedback that these images right here do not have alt tags. What does that mean? Well, what it means is that if I am a sight person that's really struggling with sight, or I'm blind, I don't know what this thing says. So I can go out here, let me see if I can do this again. I can actually tell it that it is a, let me see. There must already be a URL in there. But I could go out there and actually tell it that it is a panda, or it is a cat. That would be what we call an alt tag. So if this reader comes down to it, it actually will tell the reader software, more than just, it tells me a little bit about that. All right. Once again, I'm kind of going off on the tangent of accessibility. You really have to think about, as you design courses, what is that photograph in there for? What is that video in there for? What is this, pretty picture in here for? It may be pretty, but for a blind student, it really needs to have a purpose in there, or be explained to those students why that's being put into there, okay? All right, I'm going to close this up. And I'm going to save this. So we start to see that we can build pages with lots of different things in there. Images, tables. I can put in embedded things to YouTube, embedded things out to my, what is that called? I can't remember, Judy. What's this called down here? Films on demand. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. Now, so let's go back up here. And I want to take us over and show you some other examples of how we can do some other things. What I did is great. So I went out to the Commons and I started looking for some designs that caught my attention. Because faculty were saying, Ed, I lost my widgets. I didn't have all of my images and stuff that came over in Canvas. All it is plain text. So I went out to the Commons area and I found this biology course. Okay, this course here is using pages. So this is the very first welcome page. Notice how it has graphics in here. Notice how it has links to different parts of my class. So, we talked a few minutes ago about using modules, right? That I might have like a chapter 1, a chapter 2. What this instructor is doing is to use a page or pages to sort of put links out here to work with.
Can you call it whatever you want? In other words, right now I've been using units. Is it, do I need to switch it to module or just leave it?
No, I think what you can call it whatever you want to. It's a placeholder. You could call it lessons, you could call it chapters, you could call it exercises, whatever you want to. What this instructor, I think, is trying to do is also tie it to a book that they might use. Because a lot of times when we get a book, that's the way it may be, organized. Maybe they call it Unit 1, and inside of Unit 1, I'm going to have the first 5 chapters of the book. That, to me, makes sense. Now, some of us, though, when we get a book, we don't agree with the sequence that the instructor or that wrote the book. When I first started teaching, I said, well, that really, to me, should be done, maybe week 3 to week 4, as opposed to the very beginning. So I might do like Luz did. I say week 1. Week 1, I may have them read chapters 1, 5, and 7 in the book. And then week 2, maybe I go back to that. So I kind of think it depends upon how you want to organize it. When I teach a lot of my classes, my students, they really need to be organized. They need to sort of know what are they supposed to do week 1? What are they supposed to do week 2, week 3, like that. So I like that approach, but it depends upon how you're going to organize your class.
That's why we're enrolled in this biology, because I was like, why am I in this biology course?
Well, you were probably one of the evaluators that we were part of the, your name appeared on a list, so I put you in there, Luz, I think is what I did. Now, if you don't want in there, I'll take you out. if you
No,
want
but
to.
is it possible to do this and to edit this and adopt it to wherever we want?
Well,
Copy it?
okay, so here, good question. Come over here to Commons on the left-hand side. And you might be asked the first time, do you accept Commons? So go ahead, it's like getting your library card. You're
I
going
have
in the
that.
library, okay?
Mhm.
Now, go ahead and say, are you over there? No, yet, so click on Commons. And go ahead and say leave the page. Okay, now, right here where it says search by name, whatever, type in something that you're disciplined. So I put in just faculty training, and what I'm starting to see here are different courses
Oh, that's
that,
3 minutes place on the Canvas workout.
yeah. And so what I'm seeing here are different courses. Sometimes maybe it's a different module that people from the Canvas community are willing to share. Why am I doing that? I'm doing that because you can start to go out and see what other, in this case here, Spanish instructors are doing, or another topic that might be in here. Once I see one of these courses, I can click on the link and see what's inside of it. So like example on this one that says Canvas Instructor Training. When I click on it, it's telling me that there's going to be some assignments, some discussions, some pages, some modules. Okay, different things are going to show up in here. Other people have commented on these kinds of things.
Mhm.
Okay, now I can do an import of this Commons course into maybe a source course that I might have. So remember I was talking about requesting source courses over here? Go ahead and request a couple of extra source courses, blank courses. You can then take what you have in the Commons and put it into one of these blank source courses that you might have. Some of the stuff you might go, yuck. Okay? And remember that reset button that we talked about earlier? If you look at it and you go, yuck, you could go ahead and reset that. But that's one of the things that I did early on is I just went out and started looking at different kinds of areas. And biology was the one that caught my attention because I really liked the way they designed that layout. So you could probably type in biology and you could get your own copy of that course. Or type in your discipline, and I bet you're going to find a lot of stuff out there that may, give you some ideas in your discipline areas.
So can you remind us, what is the green one with like a file?
Okay, so if I go back here, a couple of steps, let's go back into Commons. Okay, so
Module, okay.
modules, so entire courses or modules. Maybe there's just one little container that might talk about something specific, assignments, quizzes, discussions. So I'm just saying, if you want to go out there and take a look at what's there.
And then you can say type and then just say, I just want to see module.
Correct, you can say only
Or
modules.
quizzes or whatever.
Yes. The other thing is, you notice that there is a grade level out here. Canvas is used by K-12 and higher education. Do not filter K-12 out. Our colleagues in K-12 do an excellent job in a lot of stuff. We could probably learn from a lot of K-12 instructors on how to do some stuff. So I'm just kind of letting you know you can do different filters. Now here's the other thing I'm going to throw at you guys, is that let's say you all find some things that you would like to keep within a department. Okay, I'm looking at you two guys again. You may find something within your discipline that maybe some of your adjunct instructors could benefit from. We could, here at the college, create a JCC foreign language or Spanish group. And I could put in all of your adjuncts, all your full-time faculty, and then you could start putting into that group resources that your department could take advantage of. You know, maybe it is some modules that you've created, maybe it's some quizzes you've created, or maybe entire courses that you've created that you can have over here. That's probably one of the biggest things I get from adjunct is that, okay, what do I have to start with? Okay, can I have something to start working with? If that is attractive to you, talk to me. I could create a Spanish or a foreign language group, and you guys could start putting things in there like courses, modules, assignments, quizzes. And then we would then put into those groups faculty that would be teaching in those particular areas. Does that make sense? I'm just throwing that out there because there's some really neat stuff out here that I think you might want to take advantage of.
Do these work just by themselves, or do you have to actually
You have to download them.
download it into, okay.
That's why you're going to probably
Download it
want
into
some
your
source
your
courses.
shell. Okay, so.
Now, I mean, you could go into a production course if you want to and import it and then go yuck, reset, if that's what you want to do. But I mean, this is your opportunity to kind of see what might be out there, see some different designs. Lou says
You have to request a production course.
Well,
I don't
so
know.
let's just do this. Let's grab one of these. I'm not going to do it, Sam, but I'm just going to grab a hold of one of these. And then over here on the right side, these are all the courses that you are currently identified. So here is some classes from back in the spring. Okay. Did you use Canvas in the spring at all?
No.
Okay, so you could import, let's say, one of these into a class, even though it's not being taught, into that and see what it looks like. I'm not saying you have to.
But that's how you can see the.
That's how you could see what that
What they-
content looks like.
okay.
So keep that in mind if you want a departmental commons space. It just takes me a few minutes to do that. I would then assign who would be sort of the manager of that space, and then we can start, putting more people. OER stuff, Judy. That's one of the other things we're starting to talk about too. There is tons of OER resources. If I just type in the word OER, I start coming back with lots and lots of different resources within the Canvas environment that people are starting to upload. So, you know, once again, this is another place that as we start having these conversations, there's stuff out here, courses, content, quizzes that maybe people are willing to share with that. Okay, questions so far? All right.
So if you want to experiment and pull something over to see what it looks like, you can, I still have my empty, let's see, would be the source course, empty source course. I can pull it into there, look at it, if I don't look like it, then
Reset it.
just reset. And where is that button?
Okay, that's under settings.
Understand, so
Yeah. Now here's something that I will tell you because I'm in Commons right now is that, you know, a few months ago I went out and I grabbed this history OER course. Okay. Well, the author of this course in the Commons, they updated that course back in February. So because it remembered me doing that, it's now sending me a little reminder saying, hey, Ed, would you like an updated version of this? Because I have an updated version. So I think that's also kind of cool that if I use some material out in the Commons, it remembers what I have sort of, you know, grabbed, and it will remind me that there's some new stuff that I might want to take advantage of. Okay, what I have done, I'm just going to let you know that if I go back over here to the JCC Commons, and I just type in JCCC, I'm providing a tutorial module for if you want to put this into your course. This is for students. So if you want to put into your course a module that only talks about Canvas tutorials, you could go into your course and basically put these little modules in there that kind of do overviews of what Canvas can do. Okay? So I'm trying to kind of practice what I'm preaching of putting things out there that all of you can take advantage of. So you have to go into the,
these are the faculty.
this would be for your courses that you teach. This is a module, a little module.
Yeah, preparing yourself for that. That's neat. Thank you.
So that's out there. Right? All right, so let's go back up here to the dashboard. Let's go in here and let's see if there's other classes. Okay, so here's another class that I helped the instructor put together. She's starting with modules. And so let me talk about this a second. As the instructor, you have the ability to decide what are those students going to see when they click on that little card. So in this case here, the instructor says, I'm going to show them some structure. You know, like read me first, all that kind of stuff. As I click on these individual items, she's then taking them to a page. So here's the modules. I click on welcome, and the first thing I start to see is a page. Okay, she has graphics in here. She's saying, here's who I am. Here's my, email address. I come down here and I click on next. Okay, here's another page. She's basically using pages as a way to dress a lot of stuff up that she's going through and doing that. So I say next. Okay, I see more stuff. I say next. So she really kind of took the town. Once she saw the ability to use pages, it really gave her the ability to, teach with graphics and kind of add a little pizzazz to what was out there.
God forbid students have to read the text.
Okay. Now, you're also going to notice that she has stripped out a lot of items. And so let me show you how we would do that. If I go into a course, and let's use biology for example, I can come down here to settings, and I can say navigation. At this point, it's going to list all the different tools. Now, I have already stripped out some of these tools. Like I decided I don't want outcomes. I do not want chat. I do not want collaboration. So if I do not want those to show up, I can simply grab these and drag these down below. See, I'm just grabbing these and dragging these down below. And so I can only have those things I want. I can also change the order up above of what I want to work with. So if you want to go out and customize the menu to only have those things that you want, go into settings, navigation, and then start to drag things down or change them. And then there's a save button down here, okay? Do not assume that just because you have drugged those around that that's automatically going to save. You're going to need to come down here and save that, okay? Another thing that I want to talk about while I'm here is that we're starting to also work with a lot of publishers. McGraw-Hill, Cengage, Pearson. Do any of you work currently with publisher material? Okay. Are you using the Connect products at all? Okay. So you will like to see on the navigation menu this little item called McGraw-Hill Connect. So I'm assuming that they click on a button that takes them out to the cloud, right, where there's lots of stuff. So in your case, you would come down here and you'd say, I'm going to use the Connect. I'm going to drag this up. I'm going to put this up here. And then when students come in, they click on this button and it's going to authenticate them into that McGraw-Hill environment.
But you have to set it up?
No, you can set it up. It's already here. It's down here for all the courses. Now, I'm assuming you already every semester have to go into McGraw-Hill and say, summer of 18, fall of 18, this is the course, and here's the
You just
materials.
do the
that I'm-
URL for that.
Where you need to go.
I just drag it up here and drop it in the navigation. Okay. Now, we can talk to you about more functionality if you want to do the direct link to maybe a resource or a page. We can talk about that later, but the publishers are really trying to integrate with Canvas. And that's why I'm thinking that this would be one of the first steps that we would want to work on.
Navigation, okay, so connect.
Okay. Questions so far on that?
Trying to figure out how to get that. Okay, if I go to the one that's been transferred over,
Okay.
then I would go to,
They go to settings. Okay, go to navigation. Okay. And then it looks like somebody's already kind of cleaned some of these things up.
this is,
Okay. So, I
wait a
mean,
minute, no, where's my, there's the usual.
yeah, you
Because
can.
that's something that I didn't.
No, it's something that is an option for you.
Right.
So you could drag it up at the top and then save it, and then you have the ability to do kind of an inventory of accessibility kinds of things if you want to work on that. All right, now,
You mean these publishers that you can probably transfer grades from Connect to the grade book?
mhm,
Is that what they're trying to do?
that's what they would like to sell you on that. Now, are you doing anything out in the cloud, like a quiz or an exercise right now? I don't know, I'm asking.
Homework.
We're doing everything on Connect.
Okay, so the publishers are now starting to say if they do homework out in the cloud and there's a grade attached to that, I can pull it into the Canvas gradebook automatically. Okay, so if you get to that point where you want to start doing a deeper dive, come in and talk to us. We can help walk you through that. Okay, what I would do though is I would say, don't do a lot of connection until you have that course down in your production shell. Okay, if you're kind of starting to build things that connect to connect, you probably should be down in the class that you're actually going to teach from. Okay, if you have discussions and other resources, you can do that. But then when you start saying, I'm going to go to McGraw-Hill Cloud, or I'm going to Pearson Cloud, or I'm going to Cengage Cloud, then we probably need to do that connection down here in the actual production space. Okay. All right. Another thing that I've kind of jumped over a little bit is student view. A lot of times when we're in the design process, we forget that maybe something's not turned on. And so I always remind people that if you go into either settings or home, there's going to be a student view option. So when I say student view, it's going to come up on the screen and it's going to say, here is what the student will see. Now, one of the first, let's see if I can find modules. One of the first things that I started hearing from students and faculty back in January was, well, Ed, my students tell me they cannot see this item, okay? Why, I can see it, what's their problem? Okay, why are they not able to see something? I tell the faculty, well, go out there, right? Go out there, do a student view, okay? Can you confirm that the students can or cannot see that? If you can't see it, then the first thing I'm going to ask you to go back and see, was that published? Because that was probably 9 times out of 10 what was going on, is that I went back in here, I got out of student view, and I went over here and I looked and I said, oh my gosh, you know what? This item right here was not published. So I start publishing these things. So now I have at the laboratory, all these things here are now published. So when I now come up here and I say either home and student view, and I click on modules, okay, now they're showing up. They did not show up earlier when I was doing that. So keep in mind, publish, on what we're working with, and also that student view when you're working through that. Okay, so questions so far. I mean, I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you, I know that. But I want you to kind of think about, what's come over? What came over from D2L? Do I need to rethink about maybe how I'm going to present this material to my students? Okay, Ed's going to take a breath. Okay, I'm going to take a drink. Okay, so talk to me about any observations, any thoughts you have.
The questions will come when you try to do it, and it looks so easy and you can't figure it out.
Sure.
With the you do it, if anything that shows up in red is that a problem?
It has a potential problem. I mean, in most of my items that it found, it was a video that I was using. That it was captioned, it's just that it could not look at that video and tell me that it was captioned. So that's what it was in my case. Other times it could be an image that maybe I have not attached a alt tag to. And so next to that error, sometimes there might be something that says you fix it. And when I click on that you fix it, it will actually, allow me to type in an alt tag and actually, make the adjustments on that. So I'm just letting you know, what is that button? What is You Do It? You Do It is a tool that lets you do some inventory.
I think everybody ought to use it because we'll get in trouble.
Sure.
if we don't.
And what I would say is if you come back with some things that, Ed, I've done as much as I can, but there's still some issues here. Ed, tell me, what do I need to do? Bring it up here. We will take a look at it with you. We will see, what it is that this product is flagging, that we can help work with you in making those, more accessible. But now's the time to do that. I mean, now is the time as you're migrating stuff over, as you're redesigning things, to think about, gosh, I may have a deaf student next semester. I don't know. Have any of you ever had a deaf student or a blind student? Sam, what did you have to do? Did you have to make some adjustments in those classes?
Yeah, luckily they had an interpreter.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Not a lot of adjustments.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Okay. We don't have a lot of blind students, but that is a big adjustment because they have to be able to use what I would call a screen reader that might look at content, on a page. And so once again, Think about that. If you put a lot of, graphics out there, if I'm blind, can I interpret that? Do I understand what that means? Okay.
So I transferred a lot of the links that don't show up until you're trying to launch into secure content.
Okay.
So I have lots of those.
Okay, here, I think I know what the issue is. So let's go back to here. Which one was it that we were trying?
All the ones, any of them.
It's got the little things on there. Okay, so I'm gonna say edit. Okay. A lot of times it's looking for the HTTPS. That should work. Come over here and say. Well, I might have to sit down with this and maybe we take a look at that. In the majority of the cases, I can open that up. Now let's see if there is a share. Well, let's copy this. Okay, there's that. Close. And which one was I? This one right here.
Yeah, any of them.
Okay, so I'm gonna say edit.
When you're so unfamiliar with your phones, it's like overwhelming. I swear, I have to go back and read it again because they can be like 2 people, 3 people, 3, just 2.
Well,
It's back and forth, and it's
it goes there.
Mm-hmm.
It could maybe be,
that's the one I'm most familiar with.
it might be the browser. Right, let's take a look at that maybe out of side of class and see what we can do. The other thing we can do too is if you want to send me an email and say Ed, in whatever course this is, I'm having some problems with my links to the videos. Okay, we can take a look and see what we can figure out on that.
It seems like it started with like you scroll down. It's not the only one scroll down. Yeah, it's not the only one. It's like here. I'll have that.
And what I-
That has a link.
And what I was looking for was a HTTPS. Okay, so here, see how there's not a S in here? So let's say I add an S. Okay, now I can't remember which one it was. This one here.
Mm-hmm.
If I do that, there I go. Okay, well here's what let's do. Let's put it on our to-do list. Okay, to figure out why they're not appearing.
Mm-hmm.
And you might want to send me an email saying, Ed, in this class,
Mm-hmm.
why are my links not working? Okay.
External links.
Okay, talk to me. Is this giving you some direction as to what some of your homework is going to be?
Yeah, definitely. I learned that I had to migrate a couple of courses that I thought they were already in there. They are not.
They're not showing up?
They're just empty. So.
Okay. Now, before you go there,
Yeah, he
if
can
you
help you.
thought you migrated them, they could still be
They're there. You just do.
Let's go over here to and say courses. Say scroll down, all courses. Okay, anything that says migrated, I want you to look for. See where it says migrated right there?
Yeah.
Okay, now they may be on up higher. So anything that says migrated, And if it doesn't, I mean, then they're not, but these top 4 right here,
Okay. so
Are
this is
currently-
not it. Yeah, no, I don't see it. I guess I didn't request them. I don't.
okay, all right, very good. All right, I mean, as soon as I let you out, then I feel, oh, why didn't I tell you all about this stuff? But I think for the most part, what I want you to really start doing is taking inventory, and you're doing a good job of that. Okay? And send me or work with my staff on why is this not working or why is this not showing up? A lot of times what I'm going to be doing is saying, let's look at it in D2L in one window, look at it in Canvas in the other. What is missing? What's not showing up right? The biggest thing that I want you to really do a dive on is quizzes. If you use quizzes in D2L, make sure that those quizzes are coming across well in Canvas. We're going to spend a whole class just talking about that, but you need to make sure that that is all being imported over properly when you're doing that. Okay.
Can I just get rid of some courses here?
You can. I mean, you could send me an email and say, Ed, I don't want this anymore.
For example, this one, I don't want it.
Okay.
I'm gonna rename it.
Okay, so here's what I would do. Go ahead and just highlight this and send me an email. Or click on this and say, I mean, this is what you want to get rid of, right?
Mhm.
You could send me that and I'll delete it. Now, what was the other thing you just said you wanted to remove? Because you could reset that course too if you wanted to.
It's empty
It's empty.
right now.
Okay,
So
and
this, I just ask for
Okay,
migrated, and that will be the source. But I guess what you're saying is that when I get it here, I can just copy it and make it my source.
you can. Now here's another thing you can do. When you go into your all courses down here,
Mhm.
over on the left-hand side are stars.
Mhm.
This is where you can say, I only want to see these certain courses. So, these are 2 classes that if I just star them and then say dashboard, and I say, yes, I know about that. The end of D2L is near. Yes, I know about that. Now, the courses that I really want to focus on, because I starred them, are showing up on my dashboard.
Mhm.
How can I add more? I can go down here to courses, all courses, and then I can decide what other ones do I want.
Okay, so if they're star, they're gonna go to the dashboard.
Correct. They're going to go to the dashboard. But if you wanted to, Luz, you can say, just highlight this and send me an email saying, Ed, can you delete, this course here? And I can certainly do that.
Okay. That will work. Thank you.
All right. How are we doing? Have I overwhelmed you, Stacy? Are you okay? Okay.
Would the students want attendance here, or is this for teachers?
That's more for teachers than anything else. Okay, now let me show you one last thing. Is when I go into a course, you're going to see the syllabus tool. And, if you click on the syllabus tool, there's different ways that you can approach this. One is to use that HTML editor that comes with Canvas. So you could say syllabus edit. And in this case here, what this instructor has done is to actually put graphics into their syllabus and text. So they might have went into Word and copied all of the stuff that they would have had in Word and pasted it into this HTML editor. Okay, I see a lot of faculty starting to do that. The reason they like that is that there are maybe hyperlinks out here that maybe the instructor wants to point to. It could be like access services, that kind of stuff.
Ed Affairs has a
Template,
template,
okay?
and it's probably pretty much enforced, so you really
Make sure that is what,
need to do Word and
Mhm.
pop it in. Yes, it is.
okay. Yeah, I need to get that, because I've heard that's been,
Yeah,
agreed
I
upon.
can- I'll try and send it to you,
Okay.
not before next week.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, the other way that you can do this is that you could start with this blank environment, and then if your Word document or PDF is over in your file, you can put your cursor, maybe just say spring 2019 syllabus, highlight it, and then click over here on the side where that might be at. Now my eyes are bad, so I'm trying to figure out where this might be at. Let's just say I do that. So what I've basically done is I have linked to a file that I've already uploaded into Canvas. So some of you, it might be a PDF file, it might be a Word document. So I type it in, and the thing that I could then do is I could say, read and print out, the syllabus. And so when they click on that, that would actually open up that PDF file or open up that Word document.
Did you teach us how to upload a document or PDF?
Well, I can do that right now. When I go into two different places, I'm going to cancel that. I can come over here to the Files option on the menu. So see where it says Files? When I say Files, it now says, what do you want to upload? So I can go out here and I can grab a file that might be on my computer desktop. I can do that here. I can create folders if I want to. So when I use the Files command, I can create some organization. So maybe I have a folder that's called PDFs, a folder is called PowerPoints, whatever I want to do, I could create a folder structure in Canvas where all that information might be held
Okay.
at. Okay.
And then I just go to files and find it.
So after I upload it, and then let's say I'm over here in one of my pages, okay, over here to the right, what I can then do is I can come down here and let's just say I click a couple of, so wherever I put my cursor at, if I click on, let's say that right there, notice that as I click on this, a link appears there. Okay. Or I could have done this. I could have said, rather than clicking, I could have also said, okay. I mean, what I'm doing in that case is I'm sort of removing that .pdf on the end of it and cleaning it up a little bit more if I want to do that.
Okay, so the order that you do that in is click in the space you want.
I click where I want my cursor at. And then in my case, I would say, whatever, read. Yeah, whatever I want it to say. I can highlight it. Now, if it's over here, in my area, I can do that. Now, I could also click over here on links. And maybe there's already a course syllabus. It could be something inside of the course as well, like complete quiz 1, complete discussion 1. Any of the things that might be assignments, I can do the same thing. I can click to where those might be as well. What I have found, and I think this is good, is that students need direction. Like, read this chapter, watch this video, take this quiz. Okay, those are words that, if you just throw a PDF out there, they might go, well, what do you want me to do it? Okay, that's nice. What do you want me to do it? The other thing that I'm going to tell you is that students probably are not going to do an assignment unless there's a point value attached to it. So, you know, maybe it's 1 point, but think about in the design process of ways that you can, you know, give them some credit for doing those kinds of
Subtract is even better.
things. Yeah, I guess you could do that, yep. All right, it is 3 o'clock. What other questions do you all have?
What's your cell phone number?
My extension is 2775, so you can call me or the department.
Under the settings tab,
Uh-huh.
there is something at the top called apps. and
Yep.
It says that some things are installed. Can you explain that a little bit?
Sure. So I'm going to settings and I'm going up here to apps. All right. So the college as an institution may not support all of these apps. So be careful about clicking on these things and saying, ooh, cool, I like this, because some of them may have dollar signs attached to them that might cost us money. Now, over here under installed, some of these we have paid for, and we are, you know, taking advantage of them. So for example, that Films on Demand, okay, this just was installed yesterday. We paid for this. So this is a app that's now available. We are working with publishers like Macmillan, like Pearson, like Wiley. Okay, we have already made those connections that are there. If you see something over here under the all or not installed, and you say, Ed, you know, this is something I'm very, very interested in. Come talk to me. Okay, it doesn't mean that we cannot, you know, maybe install it or turn it on. It just means be careful
Right,
because there could be some dollar signs attached to that.
right. So for example, if I see something that I know our library supports, would that be something that we could get then relatively easily?
Well, your
Yes.
librarian is right next to you, right
Yes,
here.
American history, yeah,
Yeah,
just
so I was
go
thinking that.
and yeah, since you know the title of it, like the American Indian history, you go, you just go to databases and you can do it alphabetical.
Right, so I found, the one I was looking at the library, and I was just looking at that.
Yeah.
But would the advantage of having the app then be transferability, so you wouldn't have to then download things from the library and then re-upload them, or would there be any advantage to having the app installed?
Well, I mean, obviously having it embedded into your course makes it easier for the students to get to.
But you could do that by
Just telling them where
learning
it is.
to it and
Yeah, I think you have to, the word app is maybe not the best word to use in here. App, for many people, means this, okay?
Right,
Okay, that's not really what they're saying here.
right.
They're saying maybe a formal connection to some of these resources.
And other people don't have as many things as we do. I mean, we really don't.
I mean, as I look at this list, there are some things that we already have relationships with. I know that we have a relationship with Alex, so yeah. But if there's something on this list that was there one in particular that caught your attention?
I was looking at the ancient and medieval history section, so I can access that through the databases of the library, but I was wondering if there was any ease to having that, to be able to plug into things easier than just maybe downloading a resource and then re-uploading the resource.
Well, I mean,
Try and see, I mean.
I'm going to say that anything you can have integrated into the LMS is going to make that student's job a lot easier. I mean, they're not going to have to go
Well,
out.
except that we do have a way so you can link to write exactly what you're going to
Okay.
have and put it into your course.
Okay, so maybe that's a conversation you can have, is that right to that particular article, we can go to that as well.
Ed, where do I find the next training sessions on our website?
Okay, so if I come over here to JCC Assistance, and then I say May, June training under JCC assistance.
Then I'm open to it.
Let's see. I think next week I'm going to start talking about assignments and grades. So you can either join me on Wednesday of next week, or you can come in on Tuesday. I've got stuff going on. And this is a really good, I think so, yeah. Of course, they're all important. Okay.
But our obligation pretty much, if we wanna talk to adjuncts, who are not gonna do a lot of things, they're gonna do grades.
Okay.
And those are the important.
Sure. So talk to me. I mean, you guys work with a lot of adjuncts. I mean, if you want me or my staff to come in and talk to your adjuncts, we're happy to do that.
Maybe we should have a fun
Maybe,
PDF,
yeah, that would be great.
but basic, very
The
basic.
Thursday afternoon.
Syllabus,
Syllabus
how
and
to put
grades.
the syllabus, and grade, yeah.
So do you meet in the evening typically with your adjuncts?
4 to
4 to 6.
Okay, so the sooner you can get me a request. Nobody has requested time yet.
4 to 6.
Okay, send me an email, Luz,
Okay.
okay?
Invitation.
Saying, Ed, can you
And
have
maybe
somebody
just
come
one,
in?
it will probably be an hour, right?
We can be whatever you want it to.
Because otherwise.
Maybe
what I
over
do
the
is
summer we
just
can
do is
create
download
a
it
little
and
template.
then re-upload the downloaded file.
You know, do you think so? A little template where just the basic, you know, for Japanese or.
Well, and the thing to keep in mind is that when we talk basics,
There's not much basic.
there,
It's just from the syllabus.
Like kind of like a welcome page, only the welcome page maybe. And then grades.
well, you send me, what are the things that you want to make sure your faculty know how to do?
Okay.
We can go out into these videos and guides and give you
Yeah, it's research.
an email or give you something that you can send to your faculty and say, here are instructions on how to change your syllabus. Here's instructions on how to do that stuff if you want
And
me
what
to
if we
too.
bring them here and then they upload it? If anybody needs, they can upload it, see
That would be good. Well, the only thing would be
Yeah,
if some of them have already done things over the summer, they're gonna get bored of how to do that, how to deal with that.
Unless you tell them in advance,
Before
we are
the-
going to have a session on uploading your syllabus and doing grades, and then they can decide whether they want to do it. I don't know. I can record myself too.
Because
And
some
here
of
you
them,
said these are like videos. For
Some of them are videos, some of them are handouts. So these
so
are,
who have you worked with for the summer already?
you mean scheduling wise?
No, well, just that they are doing Canvas with
Okay.
syllables and,
Sure. I've started working with the nursing program.
no, from Argentina.
Oh.
Foreign language.
No, I
teacher,
haven't worked anybody.
Jim
no.
Helen,
Work, but I wasn't on.
Lynn, Romero,
No, no one.
the Russian, the Japanese, not foreign
No.
language.
No, no one has come to Ed personally. Now, does that mean
No,
it's,
so you mean to these
you mean
sessions?
training
It's like
sessions?
training sessions, or if somebody already came to you and said, okay, I'm gonna teach in the summer, and I need to have the syllabus and maybe,
You
the
know,
grades.
to my knowledge, no one has, but then they could have been doing some things online. I mean, some people will, it's just like driver's ed. I want to do syllabus. They click on the syllabus tool and they figure out how to do that kind of stuff.
Maybe we can take a poll and find out who might need it.
Those that taught in the summer already supposed to already have that done, so they're.
Well, it's an invitation, okay?
Thank you.
If
Thank
you- if you
I'll
wanna-
send you an invitation
Yeah, so
in
that's.
the next few days.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Good to see you guys.